What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. And hey, it's Christmas Eve. Happy holidays to everyone out there, whether you celebrate Christmas like I do, or Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, or whatever you happen to celebrate. Again, happy holidays, whether you're watching this before or after your holiday season has concluded. Hopefully, you're watching it before this game kicks off. It's the first ever Pop-Tarts Bowl from Orlando, Florida, and the winner of this one gets to take a bite out of the mascot. It's the NC State Wolfpack and the Kansas State Wildcats, our first ranked versus ranked matchup of bowl season. I can't wait to talk about this one. Should be a very exciting game, and two teams that play a very similar, if not the exact same style. Talk about that more in a little bit, and we'll dive into the Wolfpack and Wildcats here shortly. But before we do, thank you for all the love and support the channel has seen. Help interact and thusly supporting the channel in any way you can by, again, watching the video like you're doing now. Doing the big thing, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when videos get uploaded, or you can like, comment, share, again, anything you do to interact with the channel. Help support what I do here on YouTube. Now, before we dive on into this game, I will say sometimes can be a little tricky to determine who's entered the transfer portal, who's opting out yet, who is still playing here in this bowl game. Wolfpack fans, Wildcat fans, in case I miss anything, leave in the comment section down below, whether that's a name, someone I mentioned that may be out, that maybe is playing, things like that. So please feel free to give your input in the comment section down below. I really appreciate everything you guys do. But let's go ahead and enter on in here. The NC State Wolfpack and the Kansas State Wildcats. This should be a very intriguing matchup. You got the 9-3 Wolfpack, rated 18th in the country, and offensively, well, it's definitely not what leads this team. This is obviously with a Dave Doran squad. The defense will lead this unit. However, Brennan Armstrong, sure, he has not had his most productive season, and MJ Morris is in the transfer portal, so it will be Brennan Armstrong that plays here. 1,621 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 6 picks. Again, probably not conducive to what Brennan Armstrong can actually play as. He has thrown 234 passes, 62.4 completion percentage there as well. Now, this is a team that has run the ball almost 100 more times than it has thrown it this season, and Brennan Armstrong is still this team's leading rusher. And then you have 4 guys there that have at least 250 yards, but no more than 300. That is a listed wide receiver, Kevin Concepcion. Apologies if I mispronounced that last name. Kevin Concepcion, Kendrick Raphael, Delbert Mims, and Michael Allen there at the running back positions. In terms of the wide receiver positions, well, you're going to be without a couple of guys here. You're going to be without Terrell Timmons and Porter Rooks. Good news, none of them had over 200 yards. So Concepcion, your leading receiver, 767 yards, 10 touchdowns. He will be playing, as well as Keon Lassane and Bradley Rosner, as well as the tight end in Trent Penix. Again, this is not a super dynamic offense. It hasn't proven to be that way all season long. However, they don't turn the football over, and while the offensive line does struggle at times, hey, they do a pretty solid job at being able to run block and make way for Brennan Armstrong to make plays, and it's a solid enough team on third down there as well. But again, as I've mentioned many times, it is the defense that leads the NC State Wolfpack. 104 rush yards per game allowed. They're one of the best rush defenses in the country. They are led by Peyton Wilson at linebacker, 138 tackles, 6 sacks, 6 pass defended, 3 picks. I mean, he does everything for this NC State Wolfpack team, who's one of the best in the nation on third down. The pass rush is electric. Leading the way for them is Red Hibbler. He's really, really good. He has 6.5 sacks. David Van has 5.5 sacks to his name. And then I've already mentioned the name of Peyton Wilson there as well. And they forced turnovers. 17 picks, 7 fumbles, 2 pick sixes. This is a really, really good NC State defense that forces the issue more often than not. And they have really helped this NC State team on, look, when the offense is sluggish, when the offense can't get much going, this defense steps up, plays really, really well, forces some turnovers, and they have helped NC State get to 9 wins this year. They're looking for win number 10 here, but it's going to be a very tough task because Kansas State has probably one of the better offenses that NC State has seen so far this season. So for the Kansas State Wildcats, obviously, Will Howard will not be playing, in this game. He has entered the transfer portal. Along with him, Trayshawn Ward has also entered the transfer portal. He's the team's second leading rusher with 643 yards, 5 touchdowns. Will Howard had 2,643 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 picks, also had 351 yards and 9 rushing touchdowns to his name as well, was the team's third leading rusher. And you're going to be without a couple weapons there as well. Phillip Brooks is out as a wide receiver, led the team in receptions with 53, second on the team in receiving yards. And then Ben Sinnott, the leading receiver of this team, 676 yards, 6 touchdowns there as well. Your offensive coordinator in Colin Klein is also now going to be Mike Elko's offensive coordinator at Texas A&M. So leave it in the hands of Avery Johnson. Hey, he is still going to have DJ Giddens there, 1,075 yards, 9 touchdowns out of the backfield running the ball. And there still are some pretty darn good weapons here. Jace Brown figures to be that lead receiver. DJ Giddens out of the backfield is a really solid pass-catching option. And then you have a slew of guys that have at least 2 receiving touchdowns on the year. So even though you're missing Brooks, you're missing Sinnott, yes, those are your 2 best pass-catching weapons. I have a feeling some other guys in this room are going to step up, and anything that NC State does, well, Kansas State does better, right? They don't turn the football over. They don't allow pressure back to the quarterback, and this is a really, really, really good team on third downs. Now, let's move over to the defensive side of the ball because, again, you flip the thing here. Offensively, Kansas State is a lot better than NC State. I think the stats show it. They have, I think, the better playmakers, and they've just played like it this year. Defensively, I definitely think NC State is better, but this team, these 2 teams play a very similar style in that don't give up much on the ground. It can be a pretty solid rush defense here for Kansas State. The secondary, while is ball hawking, they have 42 pass defended, 12 picks, is definitely susceptible to the big plays. They have 24 sacks on the year. This is also a really, really good third down defense. And just overall, Kansas State's got a lot of really good defensive players. However, a lot of those key pieces in the secondary will be gone. Will Lee is gone, had 6 passes defended, 2 picks this year, as well as star safety Kobe Savage, the team's third leading tackler there as well. Give him 3 interceptions on the season. He was tied for the team lead with Jacob Parrish, who to my knowledge will be playing this game here, along with the leading tackler, second team lead in passes defended, only behind that of Parrish, my apologies, it's Marquez Sigil. So still a lot of talent here. But again, these are 2 teams that play very similar styles. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. So let's go ahead and talk about your what to watch for. They're kind of like your keys to the game. It's just some things I think you should keep an eye on while you're paying attention to this matchup. The Wildcats offense does have more pop, and I've already mentioned that, but Armstrong and the Wolfpack, yes, they might need to find some explosiveness here in this game, but Brennan Armstrong has really figured out his game here. He has really come about down the stretch of the season, and even at times where the defense couldn't get much going, Brennan Armstrong was there to pick the team up. No, he's not putting up the stats he was at Virginia a couple of seasons ago. However, he really has started to find his game, has started to find his receivers downfield. I still think they need to find that explosive aspect to this offense. Brennan Armstrong's long of the season has been 64, and the team's long run has been a 65-yard run, but no run by more than 40 yards by a true running back. So this is an offense I think is going to have to find some consistent explosiveness to be able to get past this Kansas State defense. Now, pressure in the backfield is a must here. Guys like Peyton Wilson and others are going to need to provide pressure. You got to be able to slow down this run game, and especially with Will Howard gone, hey, make Avery Johnson get outside of the pocket and throw. Avery Johnson on the season now does have the ability to get outside of the pocket and run. On 45 tries, has 225 yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. So you got to be wary of that. But if you can get pressure in the backfield and you can get back there fast, hey, it's only going to make the job harder for Kansas State. But again, the last thing I have for both teams is just a general key here. Neither team really turns the football over, yet both of these teams force turnovers. So which team wins the turnover battle is going to be very, very crucial, and it's also going to be very interesting to watch and find out how it plays out. Let's move over to the Kansas State side of things. Avery Johnson needs to rely on DJ Giddens to be that workhorse that he has been this season. 195 tries, again, has 1,075 rushing yards, 5.5 yards per carry. He gets in the end zone at a pretty good clip, 9 touchdowns. Now, obviously, Avery Johnson is going to use his legs as well. But especially without his top 2 pass-catching weapons out in the tight end, Sanat and Brooks, he's going to need some playmakers, especially in the wide receiver realm, to really step up and play a good brand of football and be some explosive playmakers here for the Kansas State Wildcats. Again, I just talked about no team turns the football over, but takeaways are a must here for the Kansas State Wildcats, because if you can take the football away, hey, you're just putting it in the hands of the more explosive offense on the field, at least the way that it is proven this season. And I think Avery Johnson has some really, really good upside. I like Avery Johnson a whole lot. If you can keep the ball in his and the offense's hands for some takeaways, hey, again, gonna be a pretty good day at the office there for Kansas State. But then again, this is just another general key. Who wins the third down duel defensively? Both these teams are exceptional at third down defense. You see the FPI likes Kansas State. You see Vegas likes Kansas State. And you're going to come to find out here in about half a second. I also like Kansas State here in this game. Nothing against NC State and Dave Doeren. I think this is a phenomenal squad. They play probably a better brand of defense than Kansas State does, but I think they have the better offensive weapons. Does Kansas State? I think the offense will prove to do a little bit more. I think this is the Kansas State team that I'm predicting here to win the turnover battle, and I do think that Kansas State is going to walk away from the Pop-Tarts Bowl with a win. They will be the team that gets to take the bite out of the edible mascot, which, let's be honest, probably going to be the most intriguing part here of this bowl game. No, I'm kidding. This is going to be a very phenomenal game. Turnovers are not going to be flying, although I do think Kansas State forces the one that makes them win the game. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And hey, as always, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.